what I'm going to do is send out some invites and we're going to get started. As you can tell, we started a little bit early so that I had time to do that. So we're going to do that. There you go. We are live. There you go. We are live. There we have it. So grand risings, everybody. Like I said, I'm Mystical Ariel. There we have it. So grand risings, everybody. Like I said, I'm Mystical Ariel here to shake the matrix, expand our minds, and make us all think. I'm the author of the Awaken trilogy, which you can get over on Amazon and also over on Kindle, and seems to be going in other places as well. But make sure you get your copy. It helps support and keep these things going. As you can tell, I've been doing this for years and giving teachings and all of that. So the other thing is, you guys, it doesn't matter whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. Time is something we created in a construct, putting us in a box. But today we're going to talk about identity and something deep. The way we divide sometimes, there comes a moment, not dramatic, that not announced, that when quiet recognition arises. If we are one, why do we live as fragments? You ever ask that question and wonder that? I mean, this question does not come from philosophy. I mean, it does not come from belief either. It arises organically when awareness turns back on itself and begins to notice the mechanics of its own experience. I observe grand risings. I observe the world, and I do not see broken people. I see performed identities, masks layered so deeply that even sincerity has become a role. Humanity moves as if under a spell, reacting, defending, comparing, dividing, while speaking endlessly of unity. The tragedy is not the mask. The tragedy is forgetting that it was never worn. And this forgetting, it's not accidental. It is cultivated. You see, the matrix, you guys, reframed, it's not a place but a perception. And it's been blinding us. In my Awaken trilogy, in The Lion Escapes the Matrix was never a prison. Never a prison steel. Never one of even code. It was revealed or as something far more intimate and far more difficult to detect. The matrix is misidentification. And from the moment consciousness enters form, it is given mirrors. A name, a role, even a value system, a story of limitations. And none of these are inherently harmful. The problem begins when awareness forgets it is prior to them. And the system works because it convinces awareness that identity comes from outside in, rather than from within out. Survival replaces presence. Adaptation replaces authenticity. And over time, the avatar becomes habitual and the observed becomes background noise. The system does not, need to enslave you. It only needs to have you forget you are free. We call this the false center of identity. Even psychology, this false center is called the ego. In Awaken, it is called the interface, self, the character consciousness pilots inside the simulation of society. The interface is not the enemy, but it was never meant to rule. When identity becomes central, reality is filtered through threat. Disagreement feels like danger. Difference feels like division. Uncertainty feels intolerance. And this is how separation is maintained. Not through force, but through fear of dissolution. The system rewards consistency, not truth. It rewards repetition, not awareness. Yet the moment awareness notices the pattern, the loop weakens, and science and the cracking of the illusion. Modern science has begun to stumble into the same territory. Mystics mapped inwardly. Quantum physics demonstrates that matter is not solid. It is probability stabilized by observation. Entanglement reveals that distance is irrelevant at a fundamental levels. And the observer affects, quietly admits that consciousness is not passive. See, this mirrors the awakened realization. You are not inside the universe. The universe is arising inside awareness. Separation exists only where perception fragments the whole. Nature is remembering a field, and nature does not suffer identity confusion. Forests communicate beneath the surface through fungal networks of mycelium, and its cells cooperate with ideology, and the planet regulates itself through plant, balance and rather than dominance. Nature does not compete, it exists, it participates. And humans are nature that becomes self-aware inside abstraction. And we've been abstracted. And when we leave nature, we lose the mirror that reminds us how unity behaves. We're away from it. We forgot. Plato called the world of a cave of shadows. Platonius spoke of an emanation in the return. And Nietzsche demanded the death of inherited meaning. But Awaken brings this out of theory and into experience. Awakening is not acquiring truth, it is shedding false centers. What dies, not you. What dies is a story claiming to be you. Carl Jung understood what the system exploits. Whatever is denied inherently must appear externally, right? Projection creates enemies. Unintegrated shadow creates mortality. Unseen pain demands recognition through conflict. The world feels divided because inner division seeks expression. Awakening is not becoming righteous, it is becoming whole. A Gnostic memory and the false authority. The Gnosticists described the human condition as divide amnesia. The monad, the individual source, and it emanates into form. Consciousness becomes dense. Authority becomes external. The demerge arises not as the monsters, but as mistaken centers. In my Awaken trilogy, this is a system. You are your role. You are your past. You are your fear. That's what the system's trying to tell you. And gnosis is the moment that the voice is recognized as secondary. You do not overflow the false god. You stop worshiping it. Silence is the exit portal. Even after remember identity pulls, and even at the awakened, feel gravity. We still feel it, I've watched myself after re-enter performance many times, seeking reflection and wanting to be understood and going, what am I doing? I am that I am. Wanting to matter and go, what the fuck am I doing? Wake up. Don't do that. And each time, silence disturbed the loop. The moment I went silent, I went, nope, don't need to do that. Beneath thought, beneath narrative, beneath role, there's this presence that has never moved. The path out is not forward or outwards. It is inward. And we have to live beyond the separation. So how do we walk in a world without belonging to the illusion? We act without attachment. We see masks without naming enemies. and we speak truth without demanding agreement. We remember without, evangelizing. The matrix collapses when belief is withdrawn, and when the mask finally falls, only this remains. I am not separate. I am not the character. I am not the story. I am the awareness through which all stories arise. I am that I am, remembering itself inside own creation. If we are truly honest, we must go deeper than personality. Identity is not just who we think we are. It is what we have been taught to believe is true. No one is born a Christian. No one is born a Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish, or Hindu. No one is born a Republican or Democrat. And no one is born a nationalist or a capitalist, socialist, or an ideologist. These are not discoveries. These are installations. And the child arises as awareness, open, undefined, curious. Before language, there is no doctrine. Before memory, there is no belief. Before naming, there is no division. And then teaching begins. Belief is offered, first as guidance, then as truth, then as identity. Over time, what was learned becomes defended. What was repeated becomes sacred. What was borrowed becomes me. And this is the most subtle trick the system has. It convinces you what you believe is who you are. And when belief becomes self, one belief fuses the identity, separation becomes inevitable. Because when belief is me, questioning feels like attack. Disagreement feels like threat. Different feels like danger. And this is how ideas become weapons. History is not a record of evil people. It is a record of unquestioned identities. And the Crusades were not fought for God. They were fought for certainty. Nations were not converted for truth. They were converted for uniformity and thought. And when belief becomes identity, survival demands compliance. And when compliance fails, violence follows. This is not ancient history. It is happening now through flags, parties, ideology, and narratives that divide humanity into us and them. The costumes change, the mechanism does not. The external authority illusion, it's at the core of inherited belief. It is the idea truth exists outside of you. Religion tells you truth is in scripture. Politics tells you truth is in the party. Culture tells you truth is in conformity. And media tells you truth is in consciousness. And slowly, subtly, awareness is trained to look outward for permission to exist. And this demergic pattern spoke of in the Gnostic's text, not a being, but a system of misplaced authority, a false center that claims ownership over meaning. In Awaken, this is the moment consciousness forgets itself and begins outsourcing identity. Not because it is weak, but because it was never taught to look inward. Why systems need belief? Belief systems are efficient. They reduce complexity. They prevent inquiry. They create allegiance. A human who believes in predictability, a human who identifies as controllable, and a human who questions is dangerous. And this is why belief is rewarded and curiosity is discouraged. And this is why conformity feels safe and divergence feels isolated. This is why society calls obedience normal and awareness threatening or a conspiracy. But there is the truth that dismantles the entire structure. Awareness does not need belief to exist. Truth does not require defense. Reality does not demand agreement. Consciousness does not belong to ideology. An identity without inheritance. So who are you without belief? This system terrifies the system, this question. Because without belief, identity becomes fluid. And without identity, comparison collapses. And without comparison, heresy dissolves. And without heresy, control fails. This is not chaos. This is freedom. And to live without inherited identity does not mean rejecting religion or philosophy. It means not confusion with the self. You can appreciate symbols without becoming imprisoned by them. You can study traditions without surrendering sovereignty. And you can engage the world without losing awareness. The awakened do not destroy belief systems. They simply stop living inside them. The silent truth beneath all belief. When all ideology falls quiet, something remains before Christianity, before Buddhism, before nations, before language, presence. This presence has no politics, no religion, no side, no enemy. It does not need to convince. It does not need to conquer. It does not need to be right. It is simply is. And when awareness rests here, the illusion of separation loses its foundation. Because identity no longer is extended and external. You do not belong to belief. Belief belongs to thought. And thought belongs to mind. And mind appears in awareness. And awareness was never divided. I know you hear your friend out there and you want to go out there. I hear you. I hear you, and I hear you, and I hear you, and I hear you. You hear your friend, and it's a girl, and you want out there. You want to go see her. Yes, it's calling your name. All right. You guys. Hey, American Starter, what's up? Make sure you do one thing towards your dreams every single day. It brings you one step closer and makes, and make sure you recognize that you are valuable and you matter. You're all unique puzzle pieces, a part of the ultimate puzzle of the cosmos. Hang in there. Peace and love. We'll see you guys next time.